Today at Commander Replay, we get our first look at God Eternal Oketra against Tana, Tymna, Lazav, and Lathliss Dragon Queen. Can we survive the dragon fire? Find out next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a bunch of new Patreon supporters in Alex Gajewski, Matt Swain, and Anxiety Cannon. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon, the link below. Alright, welcome back everyone, playing some God Eternal Oketra today. Take a look at our opening hand. We've got 2 lands with a Tithe and a bunch of ramp. Yeah, we can make this work. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep on the strength of Tithe. That should be able, we're not playing first, so that should be able to get us 2 lands and really smooth things out for us. So, and after that, we have tons and tons of mana ramp. So much so that I think this Arch of Oriska will be online for us pretty quickly to be able to start drawing some cards. So, and we draw into another land. Cool. So we'll play the plains right here and pass the turn. Here comes a Birds of Paradise for the partner opponent and a Signet for the Lazav opponent. And I'm actually going to wait one more turn before the Tithe, just because if we do that now, we'll go up to 8 cards and then we'll have a 9th card on our turn, and we don't have anything that we can cast, so we'd actually have to discard the hand size. So I'm going to wait just a second on all of that. It's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw a Stoneforge Mystic. Well, Stoneforge Mystic is great, but that does not help with our hand size issues at all. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and play this Arch of Oriska, and we'll pass the turn like that. So let's take a little read of God Eternal Oketra. I'm actually pretty excited about this one. So it's 3 white for a 3/6 with double strike. It says, whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. That's a pretty good ability, so all you need to do is be casting creatures, and this thing's going to spit out 4/4s for you, and they have vigilance. That is very good as far as mono white commanders go, and it has the new God clause that all of the War of the Spark gods have, which is when it dies or is put into exile, you may put it into your library 3rd from the top. So yeah, I mean, this is my very first time playing the deck. I think this is going to be one of the better mono white commanders. And the reason I think that is that there's basically cards like White Mane Lion, Core Skyfisher, those sort of things, Stonecloaker, that combo with your commander, and all you need to do is just have some mana late in a game and those cards, and you'll be able to spit out a huge army of 4/4s. So it doesn't take a lot to be able to do that. You're not trying to find combos that exist internally in the deck. So like this deck in particular is running a Sack Engine with Karmic Guide and Revelark, but as mono white, it is hard to find all of those pieces. When you're talking about just needing to find a single creature that combos with your commander, that's a whole nother story. So I really think that this is going to be one of your better mono white commanders that's not like a stacks commander. Though you could probably play it that way if you want to. It's a little bit pricey at 5 mana for stacks, but yeah. I'm pretty excited about what this thing's going to be able to do, and we already have the Core Skyfisher in hand, so we just need to play lands and not get wheeled is really the name of the game right here. So play the Tithe. We'll grab 2 plains. We'll grab the Mistveil plains while we're at it. We'll get caught up in everything our opponents were doing while I was talking. So Dark Confidant for the partner opponent, a Thaumatic Compass for the Lazav opponent, and a Thought Vessel and a Cracked Myriad Landscape for the Dragon opponent. And with that, that will bring it back to our turn. So we draw a Gaia Reach Sanitarium. Sweet. Ooh, that combos with Smothering Tithe. So play the Gaia Reach, play the Burnished Heart. Opponent's going to crack a fetch. And we'll pass like that. So yeah, this is a very combo-y kind of mono white deck. I mean, basically any of the White Mane Lion type creatures are essentially a combo with Oketra. Then we've also got the Burnished Heart, a Maria Shepherd combo, which is something that I love. We can get pretty much all the things back out of our graveyard if we have enough mana and plains to do so. We've got the Smothering Tithe combos with Gaia Reach Sanitarium, Makokoro, and Memory Jar, so we can generate crap tons of mana that way, which is very exciting. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on in this deck that I'm pretty excited about, and I think is going to make it, like I said, one of the top mono white commanders, in my opinion. So Tymna the Weaver coming into play for the partner opponent. Take a look at what our opponents are playing, by the way. I am joined by 3 Patreon supporters today, and the first one is Vermilion Nintendo. They are playing Tymna the Weaver partnered with Tana the Bloodsower. Should be interesting. Looks like it's probably going to be some sort of tokeny go wide kind of thing. 4-color decks always kind of scare me a bit. They have access to so many different cards. There's a lot of different ways that they can beat you, so, you know, that's something you got to watch out for. And then Lazav uses the thaumatic compass to find a land. They find a swamp. And Lathliss casts a Cage Sun. That's a very early Cage Sun. That was a turn 4 Cage Sun. That's pretty good. Pretty good. And that means we're going to be seeing some dragons real soon. We don't have the board wipe yet, so that's a little bit scary. Do we crack the Burnished Heart and get the lands, or do we just go for the Smothering Tithe? Red's not going to deal with the Smothering Tithe. Blue-black is not going to deal with the Smothering Tithe. The partner opponent's the only one that's got a reasonable chance of really been able to kill the Smothering Tithe anytime soon. So I think it's going to be play the Plains, play the Smothering Tithe, and we should have some crazy mana next turn. We'll sit here with the Burnished Heart. We could theoretically attack someone for 2, but there are a bunch of small creatures on board from the partner opponent, so, you know, we can kind of just send the signal to... They're not going to want to trade with our Burnished Heart, much less are we going to want to trade our Burnished Heart, but it'll just signal them to go somewhere else, I think, so... I realize that, like, a lot of Commander can be about sending signals sometimes, and that's why a card like Solemn Simulacrum is so great, is that you play it and you get your land, but someone's not really going to attack into you on the ground unless they have Trample, at least in the early and mid games anyway, so that's why Solemn Simulacrum is just an amazing card, because they don't want to give you that card draw, so it signals someone to go somewhere else. You're like, well, don't want to give them the card draw, I'm not going to get much done by doing that, so... And right on cue, opponent is attacking the other 2 players, so that's what we wanted right there. Ooh, opponent paid for the Smothering Tithe trigger. Ha, savage. Not wanting us to get that mana. I guess when you got a mana dork out there pretty quick, that's a thing. Ooh, opponent draws with Tymna. That triggers the Smothering Tithe, so even better. There's so many reasons that people draw cards in the game of Commander that a lot of different ways to activate Smothering Tithe. I mean, there's a pretty good chance that we might be able to sack the Burnished Heart anyway. And if we can do that before it comes back to our turn, then Smothering Tithe was 100% the right play. There's an Ophiomancer. That's a good one. Like I said, all we really need to do is just get some mana going and get our commander in and then play the core Skyfisher a bunch of times, and we're going to be in a good place. So Ophiomancer creates a snake. Smothering Tithe will trigger. Continuing on our opponents, by the way. Our second opponent is Useless Fax, piloting Lazav Dimir Mastermind. An interesting commander, but one that I haven't seen people have tons and tons of success with, even though I've seen a pretty good number of attempts over the years. It really cares about milling. It says whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may have Lazav become a copy of it, except it's still Lazav, and it has hexproof. You know, it's really reliant on your opponents having creatures, and I have found out time and time again that, like, relying on your opponents to have creatures is not always the best. Some decks do, like a mono green deck, tons of creatures, Boros deck, lots of creatures. You start talking about, like, blue decks, mono black decks, not always a lot of creatures in those decks. Some sort of, like, you know, Dimir Esper decks, Sultai, not tons and tons of creatures in those decks. Back when I used to play blue a lot more, like, Bribery is the card that punishes people for running creatures in their deck, and, you know, there's been plenty of times where I got nothing of real significance off of a Bribery. You know, it really depends on what kind of decks your opponents are playing, and, yeah. Here comes that Lathliss Dragon Queen. Yup. And here comes a Demanding Dragon. Enters battlefield, deals 5 damage to target opponent, unless that player sacrifices a creature. Let's see where they point that. That's gonna trigger the Lathliss and create a dragon. So this is actually gonna be a pretty interesting matchup. Lathliss and Oketra, sort of similar in their abilities. Opponent's gonna point it at us, so I think we are going to sacrifice our Burnished Heart in response. Get 2 planes. We lose 5 life, and that'll bring it back to our turn. But yeah, Oketra versus Lathliss, kind of an interesting little matchup right there. Lathliss makes dragons, which are bigger and have flying, and has fire-breathing 4 dragons. That's a little bit scary. But Oketra's got some cool stuff too, though. So we'll hope to try and find some ways to overcome the flying. I have added a couple things in the deck that do give flying, like Akroma's Memorial and Victory's Herald. I am excited about being able to use Victory's Herald today. It's a card that's been around forever and ever, and I've seen, you know, I've always considered it for a lot of my decks, but it never actually made the final cut. Like, it was usually one of the last cards I cut for a while, you know, years back. Before the 6 converted mana cost slot was, like, super crowded with things like Atali and everything else. But anyway, it brings back to our turn. We draw a Mana Vault. What do we do in this turn? We are liable to really kind of take a lot of damage next turn. First thing I think is start with the Mana Vault. I think we get our commander. We have enough to use the Gaia Reach Sanitarium right here. So I think that means play the tap land, and we'll just hope that we're not the ones that get blasted right here. And we do have the City's Blessing now, so the Arch is online when we need it. I think the token opponent is doing scarier stuff than us, so hopefully we just don't get run over by dragons right here, because we don't have the board wipe yet. It's going to be real trouble if they come our way. Opponent's going to use a Worldly Tutor. Opponent grabs a Uvenwald Tracker. Seems helpful. They give us the treasure token. So opponent going to attack the other two players once again. Sounds good to me. Sending a Death Toucher into the dragon opponent. Just sneak that 1/1 right through, because the dragons ain't blocking. So dragons down to 35, Lazav down to 36. Oh, and our final opponent, by the way, wow, super slow about getting through our opponents this game, is Chaotix 2075, piloting Lathliss Dragon Queen. I've been run over by Lathliss Dragon Queen a couple times recently. Like, if you don't play a board wipe, this deck just gets out of hand fast. It ramps into a bunch of dragons, and then you say, oh crap, there's a bunch of dragons on the board, you know, where are the board wipes? That's pretty much the mode we're in right now. We have about 4 board wipes in the deck, and I think, I don't know if Selfless Squire made its way back in. That's a thing. Ideally, we'd have some sort of protection. We do have Thaumatic Compass and Core Haven, so we can prevent some damage that way. I would not mind seeing either of those right now. Or just, of course, you know, a straight-up board wipe. We'll see who the dragons are really trying to target down. I have talked about Smothering Tithe a lot on the channel, and I assume that that will draw some focus my way. Smothering Tithe triggers. We're up to 4 treasures currently. Memory Erosion. Whenever opponent casts a spell, that player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. Oh, that's so bad for what we're doing. If our goal is to just cast Core Skyfisher a bunch of times. Eee. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, Aetherflux Reservoir is probably a good option for this deck. I didn't include it in this build, but I could definitely see it being very good, especially once you get into that later part of the game. You have some mana to work with, and you have your little combo. That's a Fraying Sanity. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts it on the dragon opponent. Sure. So Lazav Dimir Mastermind getting down to the mill. That's fun. Opponent says they need to get a Shattering Spree for this deck. Yep. And Fraying Sanity will trigger. Smothering Tithe will trigger. One of the things we may want to look at doing is going Oketra and Skull Clamp. That would give us a lot of card draw, which might be a very reasonable thing right now. There's a Gauntlet of Power, so the red opponent, all the mana ramp. We do have Return to Dust in here, probably a Crush Contraband. I can't remember if I cut it at the last second or not, but there are many ways to blow up artifacts and enchantments in this deck. We could probably use one of them. Ooh, that's a Scourge of Kerr Ridges. This is one of my pet cards. I love this card. It is tough to get into play at 8 mana because you need additional mana afterwards. But if you get it into play with open mana, it can just take over the game because you can just burn out basically all of the creatures. And that is the situation that we are in right now. And that will create another dragon token. Man, I forgot how good Lathliss is. Opponent going to do 2 damage each creature without flying. This is going to wreck the partner opponent. They're losing so many things right here. Opponent's going to Beast Within the Cage Sun. Cool. That's something. Slow down this mana production just a little bit. Opponent's going to activate one more time. This actually means that Skull Clamp is going to be a really good thing to go for, I think, because high likelihood that things will be dying. And it looks like opponent's going to activate one more time. So I think that's going to take down our Oketra. Command Zone or back into the library. I think I'm going to go to the Command Zone and not use the God Claws right here because we need to draw into a board wipe. And I don't really want to mess with our library right now because we need to find a board wipe. Opponent is tapped out of mana for the time being, which is good. They can't activate in response to stuff. Opponent spreading the damage around. That's good news. It's better than someone getting blasted for like 20 right here. Fraying Sanity will trigger. I believe X is 0. Oh, 10 cards. Oh, 10. Wow. Huh. Well, anyway, I guess we should have used the Gaia Reach first. So we'll go ahead and use the Gaia Reach Sanitarium right here. Start looking for some answers. Also of note, Ugin does not kill Scourge of Kerr Ridges. We draw a Cathar's Crusade. That's something. What are we discarding? Probably Steel Shaper's Gift. I don't think we have, like, really the equipments in this deck to do crazy, crazy things. We don't have a Sunforger to go to, which would be, like, 100% the card that I would want to get right now. But the problem is that the more we do, the more opponents likely to attack us. So we're going to bring it back to our turn. Mana Vault trigger. We're just going to leave that put for now. We got some things to be doing. There's a Mokokoro. So we can dig even more. Play Mokokoro. Activate Mokokoro. We draw a Scavenger Grounds. Not what we're looking for right here. Opponent going to pay for one of our treasure tokens. Activate the Gaia Reach Sanitarium. We draw a Cage Sun. Maybe Cage Sun next turn. I don't think we need it this turn. Discard the Homeward Path right here. I don't know. I guess I hope we just don't get killed. I think that's the plan that we're on. I feel like Cage Sun will get us killed. Well, we're already making tons of mana. We'll wait till next... Cage Sun doesn't actually get us, like, a ton. I mean, it gets us a little more mana, but I'm gonna wait on Cage Sun. I think get our commander back. I mean, hopefully one of our opponents found something. Memory erosion will trigger. We should have played the Cathar's Crusade first. Really want to get the Skyfisher into play. Man, we're at 28. I think we just have to hope someone else has a board wipe. I think there's literally so much power in play that, like, even getting the Skyfisher down just doesn't matter. Guess we play the Stoneforge Mystic, create a token, pump up our creatures a little bit. Stoneforge comes in, pumps up our creatures a bit more. Choices are Skull Clamp, Mask of Memory, Lightning Greaves. Think it's going to be Skull Clamp right here. I didn't really use our mana the best right there, but we'll play the Skull Clamp. We won't be able to draw with anything, but next turn we can get Oketra and potentially draw that way. We do get milled a bit. We do mill things that are all not board wipes, which is good. I mean, they're cards that I like, but right now we just needed a board wipe. Just the emergency is we need a board wipe. Here's an Animate Dead. What's opponent getting? Getting a Anafenza the Foremost. Oh, that's going to be bad with the mill, right? Anafenza doesn't care how it gets to the graveyard, I don't think. Or a creature card not on the battlefield will be put into an opponent's graveyard. Exile. Yeah, that's some exile. There's a Birthing Pod. Okay. Opponent gonna sacrifice Anafenza into the Birthing Pod. Gonna get a Felidar Guardian. Okay. Gonna blink the Birthing Pod. Sacrifice Felidar Sovereign into the Birthing Pod. Sure. Get a Karmic Guide. Uh-oh. Get the Felidar Guardian. Blink the Birthing Pod. There's a Kiki Jiki copying the Karmic Guide, getting back the Felidar Guardian. Are we infinite? I feel like that's infinite. Yeah, that's gonna be infinite. So yeah, this game just ended on turn 6. There's the combo out of the 4-color opponent. Like I said, 4-color decks, a lot of tools in those decks. But I mean, you know, if that doesn't kill us right there, then the dragons. I mean, the dragons are just about to kill everyone at the table. Like, they don't need much more to do it. Would like to see my next couple draws. I wanted to know if anything good was coming, but yeah.